Welcome back, everyone. Today in this video, I am going to help you get those knocked loose guitar tones. What's up, everyone? My name is Zach, and as always, this is Fuzz Drones. What I like to do on this channel is test out some of the heaviest sounding devices that are on the market, do a demo for it, and then release that demo to you. So if you are a fan of doom metal, drone, post-rock, post-hardcore, any styles of music like that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I do want to see this channel grow into something just a little bit bigger. So today I will be showing you how to get those knocked loose guitar tones, specifically off their newest album, You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To.
And then something else, you know. You know, like some kind of like, just take everything and make it all loud as fuck.
Now, the minute this album came out, I instantly fell in love with it, and it just really resonated with me in the best way possible, down to the lyrics, the snare tone, the way it's mixed and mastered, and especially the guitar tones. And on top of that, there isn't a skippable track on this whole album. So I thought it would be a cool idea to break down that album and help you, the viewer, achieve those knocked loose guitar tones.
It's like in Super Mario when you go to like the world that makes you big and all the things small. That's what my mouth says right now. Now I can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's try this again. Pause. Boom. Pause.
Now there's a catch to this video.
Are you serious?
I will not be using any tubed amplifiers or any solid state amplifiers. To achieve these guitar tones, I will be using a Helix LT along with a few other pedals, and that's it. Now, before we go any further with this video, I do want to say Sweetwater did send this Helix out to me to use in this video. I reached out to him about a month ago. I said, hey, I have this idea for this video. Do you think you could help me out with any gear for it? They said, don't worry, we got you covered. And then 2 days later, this Helix showed up at my doorstep. Now, if you want to help and support this channel, I do have affiliate links in the description below. I will have a list of all the gear that we used in this video. And once again, I want to thank Sweetwater for helping me out with this video. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to use the Helix is because I wanted to show you that you don't have to spend $2,000 or $3,000 to get a solid guitar tone. There's so much packed into this unit. It's insane. And the price point on them is even better. Now, you don't have to specifically go for this one. You have the EHX Stomp. We used the Pod Go on this channel. All of those are great and are going to give you similar tones. But this one, if you're a touring musician or a person that plays out, this would be perfect for any guitar player out there. And me personally, I would definitely use this in a live setting any day of the week because the tones out of this are awesome. And let's face it, Kurt Ballou uses one of these live. So if Kurt uses one, I think they're good enough for anybody watching the video right now.
It could be tight. The tight could also yeah. The tightness could be a gate, you know what I mean?
Now, I was fortunate enough to have a very, very nice conversation with Nicko, who is one of the guitar players in Knocked Loose. I said to him, I love the new album. I love the guitar tones that you guys got on it. I have this idea for this video. Do you think you could help me out with any tips or tricks on what you guys used or did to achieve those guitar tones on your newest album? Surprisingly, he messaged me back 15-20 minutes later, which blew my mind. And what blew my mind even more is he knew the channel, he was a fan of it, and he said, I got you covered. He was so nice with all the information that he shared with me. I talked to him for a couple days, which was just amazing. He gave me a full rundown on what pedals they used, what amps they used on this album, even down to the cabinet and what speakers were in that cabinet. I couldn't have asked for anything more out of him. And I just have to say, he's one of the nicest human beings in the world. So, Nicko, if you are watching this, thank you so much for all the information you shared with me. So now for this video, this is how we're going to do things. We're going to show you an in the mix section with an original piece. For this, John did the majority of the writing for it, and I'm not going to say the majority. John did most of the writing for this. He just took the reins of it and said, hold my beer, and just did a fantastic job with the arrangement in this video. After that, John is going to give you a breakdown of how we recorded things. So that's down to what pedals we used for certain sections, what mics we used in this, what patches we used on the Helix, everything like that. We're going to give you a step-by-step breakdown. So I'm going to stop talking and let's dive into this video right now. So that was the in the mix. Drop a comment right now. Let me know. Do you think we got into that knocked loose territory with this track? I'm curious to see what you guys think. So now that we got the in the mix out of the way, John is going to take over right now and break down that track by track by track, and just fill you guys in on how we achieved all these glorious guitar tones.
Good evening. I'm John Forrestal. I'm the owner of the Animal Farm Recording Studio here in Flemington, New Jersey. And here now I'm going to walk you through the in the mix to the knocked loose kind of recreation track that we did with Fuzzed drones. So here's the session. Fairly straightforward. Not a ton of tracks, not a big track count, but up at the top here, these groups of 4 different color-coded tracks. These are my guitars, right? So I have a guitar left up here, I have a guitar right, I have a guitar center, and then the light blue ones here are a guitar center, but with some effects added to it. I have 2 bass tracks. I have a kind of distorted and a clean blend, and then I have some drums down here at the bottom. So I'm going to take you through each section and kind of just walk you through some of the tones that we used. Before I do that, I'll kind of just go over the basic kind of signal flow. So our guitar went into a DI that split off into a line 6 Helix. That Helix, we just used it pretty much for some noise gating. As a way to patch in our pedal board, we used a send and return feature. I could even show you here what we did. Here's our Helix preset. So guitar comes in, we have a noise gate. We use the send and return blocks to be able to send the audio out of the Helix and into a pedal board, and then back into the Helix through another noise gate, into the German Ubersonic, which is modeled after the Bogner Uberschall. Fairly moderate drive, fairly moderate bass, more mids and treble. And then that fed the Cali Q graphic, which is the Helix version of the 5-band parametric EQ by Mesa Boogie. All right, so that was essentially the guitar tone was this Helix preset. That in turn fed a Seymour Duncan power stage, which went into a 2x12 Mesa Boogie cabinet in the room here with a V30 and a Celestion K85. Each one of those mics is recorded separately. We had an SM57, what we aptly titled here the Chode mic on the V30, and that was positioned kind of right near the cap edge, but then turned out at like a 10-degree angle towards the edge of the cone. And we had a Biodynamic M160 on the K85, and that was pretty much right at the cap edge, aimed straight at the speaker. I could even solo those for you guys just so you get an idea of what they sound like. Here is just the V30s in the introduction section. All right, so that's just our V30. Here's our K85, same section. Oops. Right, so it has a little bit more girth to it, a little bit more warmth. In addition, we pulled the DI from the XLR output on the back of the Helix, which is really useful if it's going into if you're going to record it into a DI or into a mic preamp and use an amp sim or anything of that nature. So we took this XLR output and we just recorded it straight in through a mic preamp and just captured that kind of full spectrum, no cab IR, which is really kind of a unique sound. We blend that in with the rest of everything else. That sounds like this. Right, which on its own sounds pretty brittle. When you add in everything else, it sounds pretty intense. Right, so they add this brightness to it that I think is really kind of useful and fun. It just kind of adds a little bit more dimension to the guitar track. In addition, going back to our signal flow, right? So going out of the Helix into the pedal board that we had set up, we had a TS808, we had a Jugendstil, we had a box cutter, as well as a swollen pickle and a pitch fork. And so we used those pedals interchangeably throughout this song just to kind of create, musical development, kind of create more intensity as the song went on. We started off pretty bare bones with just the 808, and as the sections kind of wore on, we added more pedals. I'll just kind of briefly play you a little bit of these with the drums taken out and the bass taken out, so you could just hear just the guitar tone and kind of hear the changes that happen. So let me just mute our guitars, our bass. And so here's the guitar at the beginning again. You just heard it, but I'll play a little bit more. So the guitar left and guitar right, that's just a TS808 into that Helix setup that we have. The guitar center here has the Jugendstil added to it just to give it a little bit more edge, give it that buzzsaw HM2 kind of thing going. At a certain point, the tempo, instead of going slower, actually picks up. At that point, you'll see here it says 808 Jugend, so we add the Jugendstil into our left and right channels. That sounds like this. just to give it a little bit more edge again, kind of give it a little bit more anger. At that point, when the song kicks into the double bass, we add the pitch fork into the mix as well, and the pitch fork set to the minor second interval at like 50 or 60%. That just gives it a little bit more kind of dissonance, makes it feel a little bit more uneasy. It just adds a little bit more to the kind of chaos that's happening. At the end here, when it starts to get really heavy and it slows back down, you can see the tempo change happen right here. As that tempo starts to slow back down, we decided to switch off the Jugendstil. We kept I think we also switched off the pitchfork as well. We added in the box cutter. The box cutter has sort of the HM2 quality to it that's kind of super, again, buzzsaw and very kind of in your face, very aggressive. But it also has this kind of fuzzed out kind of quality, which is really cool and unique. And it kind of added, again, this other layer of kind of just the way the distortion broke up that I think kind of, again, built upon what came before it. And so this is the tone we had at the very end. You'll hear it when the... Right, and the last thing we did here, again, also using the same rig as above, in this light blue section, like I said before, we added a little bit of special effect. We added a band pass filter, which just takes all of our low end and high end out and kind of keeps this narrow band of frequencies going. Gives it sort of that phone effect that is kind of a great way of kind of narrowing down a lead guitar so it doesn't get in the way of a heavy mix. So here's just that opening riff. Replayed as kind of a filler kind of riff in this end section. And so that phone effect allows it to kind of stay out of the way and kind of let the mix breathe a little bit. That's essentially the guitar tone. The bass tone was just an Ernie Ball Music Man 5-string active bass. We used a Gallion Kruger Brainworks plugin, and we mixed this sort of distorted bass chain along with our clean bass. The clean bass has a low pass filter at around 160 hertz, so we get clean bass only from 160 and below, which allows the low end to kind of retain its dynamic range and kind of stay punchy. And so here's our bass tone. I'll play a little bit at the end here. Right, just to give you an idea, blend it in. We were doing the math earlier, and the low open G, because we're tuned in drop G here, is like 25 hertz, so it's pretty brutally low. And full mix at the end, just so you got an idea of how everything sounds when it comes together. We have a parallel drum processing situation here. We have some effects on our drums. You can see them here. A trigger just to blend in some more snare samples. Some processing on our kick to make it a little bit more aggressive. It's fairly light on the processing side for the drums. The drums have a distressor, so a compressor plug-in on the mix for our clean drums, and then we have a really kind of heavy-handed compressor for our parallel drum compression. And then the full mix, I think what really kind of ties all together is this mastering compressor using the Tone Project's Unisum. And this is just a way to kind of just tighten the whole mix, kind of glue it all together. I think one of the big things that makes the Knocked Loose mix so powerful is that master bus compression. it really kind of breathes and pumps in a way that I think makes the mix sound super aggressive. And so this is what that sounds like with that compressor on. Same section if I were to not have that compressor. While it's a little bit louder because these aren't really gain staged properly, which just make sure they're a little closer. The way it makes the snare and the kick hit, I think it just adds a little bit more aggression to it that I think is really important to making the mix pop. But that's, in short, that's the entire kind of run through of what we did for our mix to kind of recreate a song that sounds like the new Knocked Loose album, You Won't Go Before You're Supposed to. Thanks.
So that is the video on how to get guitar tones like Knocked Loose. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you thought about this. Did you think we did a decent job on this? Do you think the guitar tones sounded anything like their newest album? Let us know in the comments section below. Big thanks to Sweetwater for helping make this video happen, and a bigger thanks to Nicko for taking the time out of your day to just give me a breakdown on what you guys used for this album, how you used it, and everything like that. It was just a very sweet thing to do. So thank you so much, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future demos, but until the next one, my name is Zach, and this is...